Warzone 3 dropped in the last quarter of 2023 with some massive changes. One was a slow, boring movement that was implemented in Warzone 2, and instead we got a much faster paced game in Warzone 3, alongside a brand new map which has been very, very well received. However, there are some noticeable flaws with the game, and here's my wish list for Warzone 3 between now and the end of the year. Movement. You may be sitting there wondering why this is the very first thing that I'm mentioning when I literally just said that Warzone 3 is much faster paced than Warzone 2. Look, it is a massive improvement, don't get me wrong, but there is so much scope for further improvement in this area. For those of you who have already played Warzone 3, you will know that tactical sprint feels so bad in conjunction with slide cancelling. In Warzone 1, slide cancelling reset your tactical sprint. However, they said they specifically do not want this to be the case in Warzone 3. So what they've done is that they've implemented a system in which slide cancelling continues to drain your tactical sprint, and then on top of that, it pauses the regen of your tactical sprint. That means after 1 or 2 slide cancels, your tactical sprint feels horrible and it feels like you're stuck in the mud. The developers did say on the Pulse Check podcast that they wanted to make sure that people don't feel like they have to slide cancel everywhere. So they added these features in to stop people from doing that. For me, that feels quite restrictive. Instead, I would have loved it if they added unlimited tactical sprint. That would mean that you could run everywhere, but you're not punished for slide cancelling either. It gives you the freedom of choice. Look, all the maps we're playing at the moment are so much bigger than the Warzone 1 maps. Having the ability to move around the maps faster can't really be seen as a bad thing. Plus, it stops people feeling like they're stuck in the mud whilst they're slide cancelling. Another movement feature that would be so good if they did implement it is bunny hopping. On that same podcast, they did say that they are looking to add something akin to bunny hopping in the future. We're going to have to wait to see what that feels like, but we're going to have to keep posted and just stay on the lookout for that. Secondly on the list, we want a more balanced meta. Look, there's 2 ways that they could go about doing this. Firstly, they could just do a massive balancing update and make nothing too broken and nothing too bad. This is sort of what Warzone Caldera was like towards the end. As a content creator, I like using a variety of different weapons. However, it feels like, honestly, since Warzone 2 was added, been shoehorned into using maybe 1 or 2 different guns in each category. Gone are the days where you could make ARs, SMGs, SMGs, ARs, use snipers as a close range weapon, use shotguns as snipers. You can't really do any of that anymore. There is an alternative to putting out a massive balancing update, and to be honest, I would prefer this way. Have a rolling meta update. Every 2, 3, heck, even 4 weeks, put out a massive update which completely changes the meta. This, in my opinion, would keep the game feeling so fresh and so enjoyable. You would know every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks, we'd be getting a completely different meta, and when the metas change, you have to admit, the game feels like a completely different game as well. Number 4 on the list, I would love more fun playlists. Look, I'm going to be speaking about playlists in general later on in the video, but for now, more fun playlists. Or more fun LTMs, I should really say. Think back to Warzone Caldera, we had buybacks, we had iron trials, titanium trials, totally normal rebirth, you name it, there was a playlist for it. Since Warzone 2 dropped though, honestly, I can't really name any memorable playlists that have dropped that have been LTM. I understand that they do need to focus on getting the core of their game right, but nothing hurts with just dropping a playlist that is fun. We have had winter playlists, Easter playlists, stuff like that, April Fool's playlists. But I remember there was some random Fridays or weekends, where they would drop Totally Normal Rebirth out of nowhere, and it was some of the most fun I've ever had on the game. 100-man Rebirth, Massive Resurgence, there were so many fun playlists that were being dropped, which have just ceased to exist now. So that would be quite high up on my wish list. Shadow bans. This is a massive issue for a small subsect of the community, however, it is still very important for me to mention. Personally, I am not affected by the shadow ban system. I haven't been shadow banned since Warzone 1, and that was when there was a glitch where pretty much everyone got shadow banned. For those of you who don't know, a shadow ban is where a shadow ban is where you're being investigated for cheating. There's suspicion you may be cheating, and you have to wait for your account to be cleared by someone at Activision. It normally takes around 7 days. Problem is, tons of people get shadow banned. They get their account cleared, and then 2 days later, they're shadow banned again. When really, when you get your account cleared, that should prove that you're not cheating. Some people have been in this shadow ban loop for weeks on weeks, maybe even months on end, and they can hardly play the game that they put money into and time into. I don't know enough about shadow bans to give my opinion on it, but that is the issue. we should be told about shadow bans. Let us know what a shadow ban really is, what triggers shadow bans, and if there's anything we can do to avoid them. It can't be using a VPN, because I use a VPN and I've never been shadow banned. We just need to know what causes them and how we can avoid them, because it's not fair for the people who don't cheat to be caught up in this system. They did just put out a blog about matchmaking, in which they did speak about SVMM, which is something they've almost never spoken about before. So it'd be lovely to hear if they could do a similar thing with shadow bans. Finally, the Resurgence playlist rotations. This includes adding Rebirth and Fortune to keep to it. This is a very personal issue, and I might be in the minority here. I just want to be able to play the maps that I enjoy. It seems like most of the community prefer Vondel over Ashika massively, but ultimately I just think we should be able to play the maps we enjoy. If I want to play Vondel solos, sometimes I have to wait a week, 2 weeks before I can play Vondel solos. I don't really have friends, so I love playing solos, and sometimes it's just the solos Resurgence isn't there. Like right now, I can't play solo Resurgence unless I play Urzikstan Resurgence, which is just not, it doesn't feel like Resurgence to me. With the addition of Fortune's Keep and Rebirth as well, I really fear that this rotational playlist that they've been implementing is just not going to work, at least for me. This is a very personal list. Part of the list for me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below about my wish list. We're going to be getting tons of information about season 2, so hopefully by the time this video drops, some of these will have already been answered. If you had a wish list, let me know what the 5 things on your wish list would be. But for now, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Get it, chat. Let's bloody get it with the STB. Well, that YouTube video above, you told me. I know he's above. There's nowhere else he could have been. Matt, thank you for following. I appreciate that. Try the HDR. I don't know if I want to use the HDR.